Hey, what's up? It's Chad Altman here to do a video today talking about surviving grief. So the very first thing that I want to start this video by saying is I'm fully aware that everybody's journey with grief is completely different. To do a video and say that I know how to coach each person on grief would be completely false. Because as somebody that has experienced loss myself, I understand that each journey with grief is completely unique. No two are the same. So these stories and these skills that I'm about to tell you are uniquely and characterized towards my journey. And I hope that somehow, some way that you might be able to relate to it or find a way that can help you get through something that you're facing. The first thing that I learned is advocating for myself. You see, my wife had a tragic accident. As a result of that accident, she spent a long time in ICU. The end result was we had to make a decision to pull the plug. And by making that decision, we also had to make another decision. And that decision was to have her organs donated so that in her death, she may be able to give other people life. And I knew that that was something that my wife would want to do. Now also, not only was I about to face one of the hardest things that I ever did in my life, I also at the same time was dealing with a ton of issues as a result of being in active addiction. So with this, after my wife passed away, after we chose to donate her organs, I was referred to the place that we donated her organs to for grief counseling. When I went to grief counseling, I showed up to my appointment that day to try to begin to talk about one of the hardest things I ever experienced. I walked into the office, and as I began to talk about the things that I felt were on my chest and I needed to discuss, the therapist there told me, "Hey, time out. We don't think you're ready yet. We think you need to wait." And I guess this is a normal thing, that they feel that you can begin to talk about grief usually around 3 to 6 months after a person has passed away. Well, I'm here to tell you that in my journey, that's fucking bullshit. I needed to start talking about my loss immediately. And I think one of the number one reasons why is because my loss was uniquely different. You see, with my loss, there was a traumatic experience attached to it. My wife died right in front of me, essentially. So I had to start talking about that immediately. I had to advocate for myself in my journey. And I'm so glad that I did. That journey and that therapy session that I started when I started to advocate for myself and find a therapist to talk about, it began a journey with me that would be 8.5 months long, 2 hours a session, 2 times a week. So if that gives you some clarity on what exactly I needed, I hope that you can understand that that was a long time, but I dove deep. I immediately began to talk about the uncomfortable feelings that were associated with the things that I saw that day. And I also had to realize that this is my journey. A lot of the times in my journey in the beginning, people would say things to me like, "Oh, I think you need to be alone for a while." Or I'd hear like, "Maybe it's a little too early to start dating." Or I don't think you should do that. Well, here's the thing. Nobody can tell you what you need. Only you can answer that. A lot of the times, specifically me, I got caught up in what other people were telling me that I needed. "Hey, I think you should do this. Hey, I think you should do that. Hey, I think you should do this." And you know what? I lost my voice in the process. I was unreally able to discern what Chad needed. But by beginning to advocate for myself in that one very first step I took to say, "You know what? You might be a clinical professional, but you're wrong. I need to talk about this now." Also, realizing that it's my journey, there might be some phases of the journey where I need something. I needed to feel alive again. I needed to feel like I could have fun. There were so many layers of emotion attached to that. Like, I felt guilty in the beginning for having fun. I felt guilty for smiling. or going on vacation or enjoying things in the beginning when I first started my journey with grief. Because I thought that I shouldn't be able to enjoy these things because this other person wasn't able to. But I also felt that I needed those things for me. I needed to smile. I needed to have fun. So by having fun, by starting to put, and for me, like what that looked like is I had to start putting myself out there. I had to feel sexy again. I had to feel hot again. I had to feel like I was worthy of love again, that I might find a connection like I once had ever again. And that took vulnerability. That took putting myself out there. That took me to not listen to what other people were saying for a minute. See, that attention made me realize that, there might be a chance for me again. I had to find a tribe of people that I could connect with that understood the way that my brain was thinking and where I was at in that journey. You see, I can't go to a whole bunch of people in my life that don't have any experience about being a widow and talk to them about what my feelings are around being a widow. The same way I couldn't go to a group of addicts or people that were in recovery or people who survived addiction and start talking about what it's like to be a widow because they didn't understand. And the same thing, I couldn't talk to a group of widows and begin to talk to them about being an addict because they didn't understand. I had to find my tribe. And so what I did specifically is I found some really awesome groups on Facebook. There were some groups of people that were like-minded, just like me, that are surviving being a widow. And they made jokes and they smiled and they laughed. And they even did some crazy things like posting sexy pictures of themselves because they understood that it was important to feel that attention. And we laughed together. And I created relationships that I still have to this day that are so beautiful with some people all across the world through a social platform. Another thing is I had to start navigating some really tough decisions about the future of my financial situations, career moves, everything that would have touched my partnership. I had to think about those decisions individually now. And the awesome thing is that same group that I connected with of like-minded individuals, they had a wealth of knowledge waiting for me because they had walked that road already. Like getting survivor benefits and what that was and how to go about getting them. And navigating all that stuff and not feeling alone was super important because I was really, really good at feeling alone by myself. And another thing, feeling those feelings of alone and feeling those feelings of wanting to feel sexy again and wanting to feel intimacy with another human being, I had to have those thoughts and I had to have that journey with no judgment against myself for it. Because the guilt is going to come, the shame is going to come, but it's our journey and we have to navigate all of that to get to the place where we're whole again. I have to admit, there was parts of my journey where I was filling voids. But you know what? For me specifically, filling those voids was okay temporarily because at the end, I was able to become whole again. Another thing is don't let anybody judge your journey. Because from the outside looking in, people are going to tell you what they think you need. Again, nobody knows what you need. Only you will know what you need. And if you have to self-soothe or fill some voids temporarily while you're on the journey to become whole again, that's okay. We have to be kind to ourselves too. Throughout the whole process of grief, I found moments where I was extremely hard on myself. Extremely hard on myself. But if I looked at the huge picture, if I took a step backward, and I looked at exactly what everything was for exactly what it was, I was doing pretty fucking good. I went from a person that was using heroin every single day, watching his wife die directly in front of him, to getting sober, getting my kids back, becoming a full-time dad, moving into my own place, working full-time, reinventing my career wheel, doing all this solo with barely any help. We have to be acknowledging ourselves and where we are in our growth every single day. If the best thing you can do in your grief journey today is get up out of the bed and go downstairs to the kitchen, like, you have to celebrate that victory, especially if the past 3 days you were unable to get out of the bed. And now here is the most important thing that I feel that I learned, that I have seen happen, and that I also experienced. And this is, I have to sit in the darkness. But here's the catch. I can't sit in the fucking darkness for too long. If I begin to sit in that place of despair and depression and sadness for too long without doing something to change it, it's going to ruin my life. It almost ruined my life many times. But I forced myself, and thank God I had kids, to get up and to get them to school and to get them to daycare and to make food for them. And it got me busy, right? It started giving me confidence. I started to carry gratitude for being alive because my wife wasn't. And I started carrying this stuff into every single little action every single day. And I started to heal. And I began to continue to talk about the loss. And I started to address it. Now, am I standing before you somebody that doesn't have any grief at all whatsoever, and I'm just a healed person? No. Anniversaries are hard. I could drive down the road and look at something out the window sometimes and be like, damn, and get emotional. See, everybody's grief journey is different, and it's the ebb and flow. It's going to come and go. So hopefully, in this video today, you were able to hear some things that you might be able to identify with. Maybe some of the things I spoke about today, those are exact things that you're doing. Or maybe these are some of the exact things that you're facing. Or maybe you're lost and you don't even know what to do and you're just beginning the start of this journey. Allow this journey to be yours. It's going to be messy. It's going to be ugly. But you know what? It could be really fucking beautiful too. If you like this video, do me a favor, hit the like button. If you like content like this and you want to learn practical ways on how to heal and how to become a better person every single day, hit the subscribe button for me and you'll see more content like this in the future. I hope you guys are being well and take wonderful care of yourself. Have a beautiful day.